Okie doke. Hello again and welcome back to the channel. It was a very long while since I did the last tutorial video about the Looperlative LP2 or live looping applied to live ambient duties, for example. Many reasons. First I went abroad, then we relocated and moved to a new place. I mean, if you notice all around you see a tiny bit different furniture than used to be. And it also took me a bit to, reassemble my studio, but now I'm back on track and I'm fully functional as it used to be. Okay, today on the menu for this demo video I have multi-track looping on the LP2. I already covered 2-3 things, but in this video I would like to go even more in detail and show you how you can manage the 4 loops all together. So first of all, to the setup, as usual, I'm my nude guitar and I pedal board. I will do some very basic sound, not something super special and researched. Then for the looping setup, as the LP2, on the LP2 itself, FX2, I have the reverse. Then you see the labels. Thanks to the LP2 monitoring app, I can rearrange the way I want the internal effects, which is super handy and cool. So now on FX1, which back then I used it with the select other track to switch between loop 1 and 2. Now I have still that, but then on the next slot I decided to put this next track. Next track allows me to scroll from all 4 loops going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc, etc. So that now I have I can go through all loops without an external MIDI device, for example. Then of course I have my MIDI controller, the MC3. Here also lately I changed a few things also to be able to have a more detailed management of all 4 tracks together when I play live. And this is also new. I have this auxiliary switch for switching between page 1 and 2, and the second foot switch allows me to go into this bank select mode where I can scroll through the banks and select the one I want. Okay, and then also on the back you see I have this MIDI solution merger box so that I can send the MIDI signal from the MC3, and also I have a MIDI to USB cable connected to the LP1, so this way I can merge the 2 input signals into one so that I can control the LP2 with the MC3 and also send some CZEX directly from the laptop with the CZEX librarian. First of all, LP2, as we know, basically standard. You have 2 stereo loops via MIDI. You can access to 4 loops, but now since you can also customize the FX slots, you can also actually standalone. You can also access these loops from the LP2 itself. That's why I have the next track. The problem up to now was that it was very difficult to use loop 3 and 4 because you didn't have a visual feedback of what was going on in the loops. So at the moment it's like this, that I have loop 1 and I see this from the left from the right LED column. That LED shows me I am on loop 1. Then I have the status LED, the top one being the status of loop 1, so if I record something, now I see loop 1 is recording, loop down is overdubbing, loop 1 is in play, loop 1 is in stop. Now I go to loop 2, here same story as before, I record, I play. Now here I see that loop 1 is in stop, loop 2 is in stop, but as soon as I do next, now I go to slot 3, and this loop 3, I still see the status of loop 1 and 2, but not what's going on with 3. Same for 4, and the only thing I can see on this loop 3 and 4 up to now was the reverse or the half speed, if this was engaged. And then I go back to loop 1 and I see everything once again. But finally Bob released a new firmware for the LP2, and now you have these two SysEx files which you can send to the unit. Pin 1 allows you to have still the standard default visually display modus like we have now, or now let me go to the SysEx librarian. You have this SysEx called LP2 New Display. I send it to the unit, and now voila, now it's gone, and now you see. Now this way I have a full visual feedback what's going on 4 loops, and the system is like this. On the effect on the right LED row, I still see the 2 LEDs for loop 1 and loop 2, which to me is handy to have that, because it helps me in a live situation to know if I'm in loop 2 and loop 1 and loop 2. But now the difference is still, it's on the status LED, because now the top LED, it's no more loop 1, but it shows you which loop it is, and you have a color coding, so being blue, loop 1, orange, yellow, loop 2, violet is loop 3, and now this cyan, light blue, greenish is loop 4. So this way I know in which slot I am, and with loop 1 and 2 you have still the 2 LED here on the right side. But now it's cool, because for example I would like to record loop 3, now I push record, I see that now I'm in record modus, now I'm in play, I see what's happening on these loops, and this helps me a lot to use this also live. So with this mindset I started to implement also more and more this loop 3 and 4 into my playing style, and it's super cool because now I'm able to do stuff I was able to do, for example, when I was using the Looperlative LP1 years ago, and here I restarted to use and play with some commands you have also in the LP2, and to do that I have to use the external MIDI capabilities. Okay, now we also do some noises after this introduction and blah blah blah. Okay, first of all, let me scroll down to the bank 30 on my MC3, because here I have an array of commands dedicated, especially dedicated for this multi-track looping. Okay, on the center top foot switch, here I have nothing special, it's just an X track on the press, and alt release, it's a previous track. So I can scroll back and forward on the tracks on the LP2. By the way, I have the next track on the LP1, and actually I was chatting with Bob, and I asked him if it would be possible to have a combined next previous track, in the sense that if I press I do next track, and if I hold then I will go backwards. It still not happened, but he told me it should be possible, so probably maybe this one will be solved in the next firmware release, so stay tuned about it. Okay, now we do some noises. First of all, I start from loop 2, because now we do some very big reverb. Okay, this is my starting loop. Why do I start from loop 2? Because now, here on the left full switch, what I programmed on the hold and then release is a master, or the set clock source command. So when I push this and now I release it, now this loop 2 is the master clock. This means, for example, I can go back to loop 1, and now, for example, I generate a loop 1 synchronizing to track 2. So, and to do this now I use the right foot switch, because here on the press I'm sending together a play and a double function, so that I can create a double bar loop synchronized to my master loop, so loop 2. Now it's a while loop, and now I can start to record. always on the right foot switch. Now we go to loop to track 3. Here I have the sync rec dub, which allows me actually to, without using the multiply, to generate loops which are multiple or of my reference master loop. And here I programmed that on the MC3 with the long press release, so that when I relieve the foot from the foot switch, I start recorded. And I did this trick to have a more precise looping, so they can do also rhythmical stuff without having some latency from the MIDI controller. Okay. Okay, my iPhone died, so we continue only with one camera. Okay, now on the MC3, I never talked about that up to now. On the left foot switch, I have also this accept command. This is a super powerful command, because with this one I can select a track and then say accept that track and then do anything to all the other tracks. For example, I go now to loop 2, I do accept, and now I push play stop. Now if I go check the status of the other loops, I can see that I have stopped at loop 3 and loop 1. Same, for example, I say now I'm loop 1, I do accept, and now I reverse all the other loops, and I stop 2 and I play 3. Remember with this accept, if you wanna to restart to do stuff on that very loop you are on, I have to kind of like, for example, or rescroll through the loops or have somewhere a function to reselect that loop, so that now I can play that loop as well. Also to this I developed also another MIDI controlling based on this accept, and I have that one on my bank 1. And here if I go on the second page, I have this Retrigger accept play, and this allows me to do this. Let me first stop everything, so I can explain you better without the backing track. With this command I can go to one track, select that and say, now you play this track, and then I do an accept and I stop all the rest. So I can selectively start the play of one track. Here with a twist that instead of using play now or the play track command, I use the retrigger continuous. So with this I'm sure this track will start from the beat, from the first beat. For example, now I go to loop 2 and I remove the reverse first, and now I can play this one. Loop 3, let me remove the reverse. Now I retrigger and play this one, and this of course we see loop 1 is in stop and loop 2 is also in stop. Now I go to loop 1, I do the same. Now I'm playing only loop 1, but now it's just the funny part of this command. I realized that if I press this once again, since we still have this stuff running out, what is happening? I stop loop 1 and then I have loop 2 and 3 in play modus, which is super cool and handy to so that I can ping pong between all these loops together. Okay, so now I delete everything and we start from scratch once again. And now we go into this bank 29, because in this bank 29 I have stuff related to loop panning and also play and stop the 4 loops divided by groups. And what I did was, in the center foot switch I have on the press a replay all and stop all command, and on if I do a long press release, what I have instead it's a track delayed, only for one track, not for everything like the main delayed I have in the bank one. And on the left and right foot switch, now I have my my group of loop 1 and loop 2 on the right, and loop 3 and 4 on the left. And both foot switches work the same, and the system is that if I press, and I see that on the screen, maybe I will put some pictures somewhere. So now what's happening is that if I press this one, now I change the stereo panning of track 1 and 2 being track 1 left and track 2 right, and if I press once again I put them back in mono. Plus, if I hold and then release the foot switch, here I'm sending out a play and stop for these 2 tracks, so that I can, in group of 2, I can play and stop 1, 2 or 3 and 4. Okay. So, now to demo this, I go back to loop 1 and we do some loops. So, first of all, put this in reverse. Now, loop 2, I do a synchronizer to loop 1. Now these both now are in mono, and now I put this in stereo. And now if you are using headphones, you will listen that you have one loop on the left and the other on the right. Now at this point I go to the next loop, loop 3, and here let's switch the effects. Now I do a drone on this loop 3. I go to loop 4 and I do another drone. Now I stop this loop 4, and what I do now, I will stop loop 1 and 2. And I do the same thing on 3 and 4, but notice that I have loop 4 is in play. This means that I will stop 3 and play 4. Now I put back loop 1 and 2 in mono. I replay these. I do the stereo on 3 and 4. And voila, and I play again 3. And now I stop everything. So this way I can manage and control with few simple clicks my loops, the stereo panning of the loop, and how I can play this. I must admit the only difference from LP2 and LP1 is that on the LP1 you can create groups of track. For example, I can say group 1 being track 1 and 2, group 2 being 3 and 4, group group 3 being 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 3, no? And so this way you can specifically manipulate and manage all these loops all together, which you can do on the LP1, but as you saw, you have to do a bit of a kind of like some workarounds, and you can more or less do the same. It's a limitation, but on a way it's cool to have limitation, and sometimes this pushes you also to do new stuff and new things you weren't considering before. So, I hope this video was helpful to you and showed you some more stuff you can do with the LP2, and take care and see you next time.